Why can't you let go of someone who was already left? You may know that the relationship has changed. You may understand that the person is no longer choosing you. You may even realize that the version of the relationship you miss no longer exists. And still, a part of you keeps waiting. Waiting for a message. Waiting for an explanation. Waiting for the person to become who they were in the beginning. This is the pain of holding on, not only to someone,
but to a memory, an expectation, and a future that never arrived. Sometimes, you are not holding on to the person they are today. You are holding on to the person they were when you felt loved. And sometimes, you are not afraid of losing them. You are afraid of accepting that what you wanted from them may never come.
love and attachment can feel similar, but they are not the same. Love allows another person to exist as they are. Attachment needs them to remain connected to the story you created. Love can remember without demanding a return. Attachment keeps asking the past to become the present again. You may say, I just want closure. But sometimes, what you are really seeking is another chance, another conversation, another sign.
Another reason to believe that the ending is not final. The mind does this because it dislikes unfinished stories. It returns to old messages, replays old conversations, searches for the exact moment when everything changed. It asks, what could I have done differently? What if I had said something else? What if they come back? But these questions do not always lead to healing. Sometimes they keep you emotionally connected to a door that has already closed.
There was once a person who lived in a beautiful house by the sea. The house was filled with memories of someone they had loved. There were photographs on the walls, books on the shelves, a chair beside the window, a cup still resting on the table. Every object seemed to say, they will return. Years passed. The person continued cleaning the house, preparing the rooms, and protecting everything exactly as it had been left. Whenever the wind moved outside, they thought it was a sign. Whenever footsteps passed near the door, they held their breath. They were not living in the house anymore. They were living inside a waiting room. One morning, an old traveler arrived and asked, "Why do you keep preparing a home for someone who no longer lives here?" The person answered, "Because if I change anything, it will mean that I have truly lost them." The traveler looked around the room and said, "No, changing the room does not erase what happened here. It only means that you are allowing your life to continue." The person looked at the chair, the cup, and the photographs. For the first time, they understood. They were not preserving love. They were preserving the pain of waiting. When you cannot let go, you may not be holding on to the person alone. You may be holding on to the way they made you feel, the future you imagined together, the hope that they will finally recognize your value, the version of yourself you were in that relationship, the belief that losing them means losing your chance at love, the need for an ending that makes the pain feel justified. This is why letting go can feel like losing part of your identity. The relationship may have shaped your routines, your plans, and the way you saw yourself. When it ends, there is suddenly an empty space. And empty spaces can be frightening. So you keep the connection alive through memories, fantasies, old messages, and imagined conversations. Not because the relationship is still happening, but because the silence that follows feels unbearable. Yet the silence is not always punishment. Sometimes It is the first space where you can hear your own voice again.
You can miss someone without needing them to return. You can be grateful for what you shared without reopening the relationship. You can remember the beautiful moments without pretending that the painful ones did not exist. Missing someone is a feeling. It comes and goes. Needing them back can become a belief. It tells you, I will only be whole if they choose me again.
But your wholeness cannot depend on another person's decision. You were a complete human being before that relationship. You remained one while you were loved, and you are still one now. The end of a relationship may change your life, but it does not define your value. Someone leaving does not prove that you were unworthy. Someone failing to love you properly does not mean you were difficult to love. Sometimes it only means that two people could not continue walking in the same direction. Waiting can feel like loyalty. You may tell yourself that you are honoring what you felt, that you are keeping the door open, that you are giving the other person time. But there is a difference between leaving space for possibility and placing your life on hold. When you wait for someone who has already chosen to leave, you give them a position in your present without requiring them to be present. They may not know that you are waiting. They may not be thinking about returning. And still, your days are shaped by their absence. You stop making plans.
You compare new people to an old memory. You reject opportunities because your heart is still occupied. You keep asking what they are doing while forgetting to ask what you are becoming. At some point, waiting stops being an expression of love. It becomes a way of abandoning yourself.
Acceptance is not saying that the ending was fair. It is not saying that you did not deserve better. It is not approving of how the person treated you. Acceptance means looking at reality without adding another version of the story to it. The reality may be painful. They chose to leave. They stopped responding. They changed. They did not give you the explanation you wanted. They may never become the person you hoped they would be. Acceptance begins when you stop negotiating with these facts. You stop asking reality to change before you allow yourself to heal. This does not happen all at once. Some days you will feel free. Other days, a song, a place, or a memory will bring everything back. That does not mean you have failed. Healing is not the absence of memories. It is the gradual loss of their power over your present. Many people resist letting go because they fear that moving forward will make the relationship meaningless. They think, if I stop missing them, then perhaps I never truly loved them. But love does not need permanent suffering as proof of its existence. You can honor what was real without continuing to hurt yourself. You can say, this mattered to me. This changed me. I learned from it, and it is still over. These truths can exist together. The relationship can have been meaningful and still not be right for your future. The memories can be beautiful and still belong to the past. Letting go is not betrayal. It is the moment you stop asking an old chapter to write the rest of your life. When the memories return, do not immediately fight them. Take a breath and name what is happening. I am remembering. I am feeling lonely. I am longing for what this relationship represented. This creates distance between you and the emotion. You are not the longing. You are the person observing it. Then ask yourself, what am I hoping this person will give me that I can begin giving myself? Perhaps it is reassurance. Perhaps it is affection. Perhaps it is a sense of belonging. Perhaps it is permission to believe that you are enough. Do not use this question to blame yourself. Use it to return your power. You may not be able to change what happened, but you can begin rebuilding the parts of yourself that became dependent on someone else's presence. There is a story we tell ourselves that letting go means closing every door forever. But sometimes, letting go simply means walking away from a door you have been standing in front of for too long. It means turning around, looking at the path behind you, not to return, but to understand how far you have come. The world outside that door may feel unfamiliar. Your life may seem strangely quiet. But quiet does not mean empty. It may mean that something new has space to begin. A new friendship, a new purpose, a new relationship with yourself, a new version of love that does not require you to beg, chase, or disappear. You cannot welcome a new life while using all your energy to preserve the old one. At some point, you must stop guarding the ashes of what ended and begin warming yourself with the fire of what is still possible. So why can't you let go? Maybe because a part of you still believes that letting go means admitting you were not chosen. But someone else's choice does not determine your worth. Maybe you are afraid that no one will make you feel the same way again. But the next love is not supposed to feel exactly the same. It is supposed to meet the person you are becoming. Maybe you are holding on because the ending happened before you were ready. But life does not always wait for our readiness. Sometimes the ending arrives first. Understanding comes later. Peace comes later. And one day, you realize that you were not abandoned by life. You were being returned to yourself. Letting go does not mean that you stop caring. It means that you stop making your future responsible for repairing your past. It means that you release the person from the role of completing you, and you release yourself from the duty of waiting. The person may have left. The memory may remain. The lesson may stay with you. But your life is still moving. You are allowed to open the windows of the empty house. You are allowed to move the chair. You are allowed to remove the cup from the table. You are allowed to stop preparing for someone who has chosen another path. What you shared can remain part of your story without remaining the center of it. The past can be honored without being obeyed. And you can love what was while choosing what comes next. If this reflection spoke to your experience, subscribe to Zen Valley Whispers for more philosophical essays, original stories, and reflections on love, healing, detachment, and inner peace. In the comments, share one thing you are ready to stop waiting for. Until the next reflection, release what is no longer choosing you. Return gently to yourself and allow the next chapter to begin.